I'm appalled at what you said on that pod thing. It's disgusting.
This is the After the Show podcast. It's where we get honest and real with yo ass. So sit back, relax, have a blast, 'cause it's time for the After the Show podcast.
Alrighty, here we go. Welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast. No, you are on the right show, right day, wrong studio. Yeah, don't be confused. We did not make it to the new studios. We thought we would when we were doing our little walkthrough after the show on Friday. We kind of realized, we kind of need to make sure we have that before we launch over here. So it did not work out as we had thought. So no new studio yet.
Yeah, we're getting there.
They're working on it.
Yeah, they are. So at least they got that part of it done. But yeah, there's a lot of little incidental things where you're like, okay, we kind of need that. But there is a little video you can see on our social media that kind of gives you a little taste of what it is. And the thing that's most impressive, that is coming from the cameras that we're going to have. So you can see how much clearer it is going to be when we finally get into that studio. And that's what I'm most excited about. Not only is it a better, brighter studio with some cool screens behind us, but the cameras are just what's going to make it a lot better. So there you go. So we're working on it. Don't know when, but just one day you'll just hopefully turn on KVJ TV on YouTube and be like, oh my gosh, look at that. They're in the new studio.
And they look so good.
Right. We hope. Or they may be like, oh my God. Can we go back to the dark, crappy cameras? The new ones don't do you guys any justice.
They look better in the dark.
Yeah. I admit, I thought about that. Like, what if we look terrible? We might have to put on that fried chicken filter with the greasy lens. And maybe how we have to go. Got a lot of comments, feedback from today's regular show. That's partially why we do the After the Show, to get any additional thoughts that you had. And there was a lot of emails that came in. We were talking about boarding schools now that we're wrapping up. Pretty much everybody is either done or close to done, except for the people in the Keys who are going to be going to school until the 13th, which is Juarez.
Damn, we are so sorry, Keys.
Yeah. You've got just tomorrow, things wrap up in Broward, but we heard from a lot of people aren't even sending their kids for the last couple of days. And then Miami-Dade, you guys are in for the rest of this week. But everybody to the north of us in South Florida is out. Your son is out in Martin County. I know my son in Palm Beach is out. I think Port St. Lucie they have maybe a day or tomorrow. I think they're with Broward.
The shocking thing that came out of the show was that we heard from so many teachers and a few administrators that, they don't really do much on the last day of school, so don't send them.
Right, yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
That really was it. They said, yeah, if you can afford to not to, I mean, you got somebody to watch them, you trust it, whatever, that in a sense, all they are is a babysitting service for at least the last day, if not almost the last week of school.
Crazy.
Yeah, really no point to it, which is just, okay. I don't know how I necessarily feel about that, but.
I don't know either, because my mom would have never let me skip any days. Even the last day, even if I told her, oh, we're not doing anything, she'd be like, no, you're going to school.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. So we were talking a bit about this. One couple was looking ahead to next year. I guess right now you have to make those kind of decisions if you're going to be sending a kid off to boarding school. I assume that's not something you do the week before and decide upon.
No.
So I guess that decision is going down right now for them. And so they have a bit of a debate. She says that her husband went to boarding school. He's from Boston, more of something they do in the Northeast. Apparently the son is into it. I think he was 12, if I remember correctly. And he's there. And the dad wants to do it because he just said when he went, it put him so far ahead of anybody else's age that he said where he was at the end of high school is where most people are at the end of college. And
wow.
He was focused to go into it. That was his experience of it. And that's how he's selling it to his wife. And with his son wanting to do it, she's feeling the pressure. And a lot of people said, yeah, just, let him go, but have it on a year-to-year basis. Now, some of the other emails and stories we're getting here paints a little bit of a fuller picture on what that means and what the emotions are like in the day-to-day of sending a kid off to boarding school. Carrie said, my husband used to work at a military school in New York. Some kids were sent for behavioral reasons by a judge. Some were just sent by parents who didn't want anything to do with their kids. My husband was an advisor for the 6th grade students. I remember him telling me one time that he had been contacting a parent monthly regarding their child and their academic and behavioral progress. After the first 2 times, the parent actually wrote back to them, said, "Yeah, can you please not contact me anymore? I really don't have to think about my kid until June."
Wow.
It was pretty sad.
There's some shitty parents out there, man.
There really are. It's unreal. I mean, you do see it. People that have had kids are like, "Why did you have kids?" Because
Yeah.
to me, every time I'm with my kids, it's the best time of my life. I can't imagine. I just thank the good Lord that I get that moment. I couldn't imagine giving it up willingly, and that's why I just couldn't do it. And yeah, and ultimately you could say, "Hey, look, you're really setting your kid up for life. They're going to be a lot more rich, a lot more famous, or whatever it might be that they're going for." If you would just send them off, I still would be like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm a hindrance to my kids' own success, but I'm not going to send them. I can't do it.
But you're a person that wanted kids. Imagine
Yes.
somebody, they have sex, they didn't want kids, someone gets pregnant, and now
Yeah.
you've got nothing but, a person who wants nothing. And look, sorry, you do the time. You gotta fucking man up and take care of your kid.
Yeah, I guess that's just how some people are. They don't want to be bothered by their kids.
But I mean, when my kids aren't with me, I am so worried. Like, I worry about Magnolia all the time now that she's up at FSU, constantly worried. Like, do it for your own sanity. If you're like me and you worry all the time when they're not with you, if they go to boarding school, you're going to be constantly worried.
If you love your kid and want to have a kid.
Well, and I would, the only thing I would say is I think some boarding schools, it depends on which one you go to. Some of them, they don't mess around. Your kids are very well looked after. They're not going to have somebody that's fly by night. I mean, now you still have to trust them because I'm sure even at the good ones, you can maybe have a bad apple get in there.
As Paris Hilton.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's true. What was the school that she went to? Was that a regular boarding school?
No, that was a place that her parents sent her to because she was out of control. It was supposed to be like a scared straight situation.
Gotcha, okay.
But instead, it was a abusive situation where these kids were abused.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's different, they're not all in the same basket.
Yeah,
No.
like anything. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's great boarding schools out
Right.
there, and there's shitty ones.
So yeah, my daughter's friend, she went to, and Skate the Beach is on here, said, yeah, my friend went to high school in Switzerland. It was a who's who of rich, was an American school. And I think, I don't know if it's the same one, but that was the situation with my daughter's friend that actually had gotten her into softball when they were kids out in Wellington. And then when it came to high school, she went to Switzerland to this boarding school. And I think it's doing great. I think she wanted to and was excited to get in, and it all worked out well, I guess. And they would go see her often and go skiing and whatnot.
I mean, I was getting some messages today from people saying, look, not all boarding school experiences are terrible.
Yeah, no.
Everyone's happy. No one's damaged because of it.
I
I
think-
got to still see my child.
Yeah, because I think you have behavioral schools, and then you do have the elite rich of the rich that probably have the best instructors, and they probably have lavish quarters, and you're living a nice life.
Well, if I was 15 years old and I had a chance to go to a baseball boarding school and I knew my teammates were going, nobody. I mean, my mom would be sad that I was gone, but I think we'd all survive it and be cool, and I'd be pumped to do something like that.
Yeah, and look, I don't know. I mean, if I were given that opportunity back in high school where I was, I might have been like, yeah, I'd love this.
My mom heart would be broken.
Yeah, right.
I would hate it.
Seeing it from that perspective, I wouldn't like it at all either. Now, Lori, she said, my husband is from England, and he went to a boarding school at 7 for most of his
7?
childhood. Yes, on the Isle of Man. Ooh, a hooga. He didn't see his parents for months and actually forgot what they look like.
Oh my gosh.
His parents sent him and his brothers there. They figured it would be a good education. His dad's work paid for it in Newcastle. My husband said it was very strict back then. To me, it looked like a Harry Potter movie. He said he would never do that to his boys. He never had a childhood, never was close to his family, and he missed out on all the things that I tell him about with my childhood memories. It's really sad, and I think he has things that bother him still because of it.
Damn.
And Denny said, yeah, my daughter's boyfriend is from Stuart, Florida, and has been going to a boarding school for a large portion of his schooling. Playing ice hockey in Florida was not an option, so he played hockey and went to boarding school in Connecticut, New Jersey, and then Pittsburgh. And he's a very smart kid, has a great head on his shoulders, and now he's currently the goalie at West Point. Yeah, and that's the argument for it is, look, I mean, if you get into West Point for something like that, you have a massive leg up. You're doing very well. You know, and that's the kind of, you wonder how people get those political jobs, and that's the pipeline that they're in. And so if you see that, yeah, to get put in that pipeline, and a lot of times it does start in boarding school and high school. You make
Westwood.
those. And what?
You said Westwood, isn't it?
West
No,
Point.
West Point.
West Point, got you.
Yeah, that's Army.
It's very like elite.
Yeah.
The top of the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, you make those relationships when you are in boarding school. Remember that movie, School Ties?
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Underrated movie. He went there to play football.
Yeah, and I think it really is, and that was in the Northeast as well. So I think it's really big in the Northeast, and it's done so that, yeah, you hopefully get the best instructors, and then you make those contacts. And then as you're trying to get into Harvard or whatever, you could say, my kid went to so-and-so academy, and they'd be like, oh, well, that puts you already at tops on the list.
That is a movie I would put on a list where, if you've not seen it, I really do recommend. It's one of them. It's got a bunch of actors that have not quite made it yet, like your Matt Damon, your Ben Affleck's in it, your boy from Bloodline. Not Bloodline. The one you have a crush on. Virginia always brings up.
Cole Hauser.
Cole Hauser, he's in it.
He's
that's
on
right,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, there's a shit ton of people that were not quite making it, and you go, oh, I know him.
Amazing cast and a great movie, and it is fascinating because, yeah, I mean, the whole plot is that they've got a awesome quarterback, and it turns out they find out he's Jewish, and that is the whole thing about that. And in an era where, you know, there was legitimacy to that.
And he hides that he's Jewish, and they find out. And it really is a fantastic movie,
Right.
just
Absolutely.
because you learn so much.
Yeah, so he goes from the star guy to now all of a sudden ostracized in that school. It is a great movie. So, yeah, I understand the argument for it, and I think it just has to be, you have to understand how it goes, and that all has to be good for you, because the stories that we had heard, and there were a couple other emails too of people saying, yeah, my kid after college, like I've had that with my oldest, he went away to college and he hasn't been back since, and you know, we see him not enough for me. I mean, we'll see. And somebody had sent an email about their kid that did that, went to Japan, and they see him at most maybe once a year, maybe twice. And so, because sometimes that happens, life just lifts you and takes you. I mean, I didn't go back home after high school.
And not everyone's got the same family dynamic as you
Right.
or me or Kevin. Yep. Everyone's got a different family dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you do need to get away from your parents. You're like, yeah, but let me go, baby.
Sometimes you got to get away from your kids.
Yeah. So that's what they hear.
That's why I go to happy hour.
Mm-hmm.
Get away from them kids.
Now, I'd brought this up on Friday. Fun little family trip, which I love family trips. But I prefer the ones where I come back home not murdered. And this one, I'm not so sure. This would be a family trip. I've never met some of my wife's family. They're Mexican. A lot of them had to leave where they were. They're in an area of Mexico called Chihuahua and a town called Juarez. And they were doing well there. And then the cartel kind of took over. From what my wife has told me, they had a very nice house. And the cartel came in one day and said, yeah, you don't live here anymore.
This is our house now. Get the F.
Okay, no problem. I'm out. keep my couch.
It's lovely. I got to tell you, got to jiggle the toilet handle, just so you know.
I'll just leave.
All right, you guys have fun, and all right, cool.
Can I get my stuff?
No, I'm just keep it. It's yours.
It's all good. And so then they wound up, a lot of them in El Paso, but some of them are still in Juarez, whose homes were not taken by the cartel. And my wife is like, hey, we're going to go to El Paso and then go see, I don't know if it's her aunt or something like that, in Juarez. I was like, I see these stories and I try not to get too, you never know what to believe. But Chuck in Albuquerque was listening. He said, I grew up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is an hour from El Paso. I currently live in Albuquerque, and speaking as a local who has been to Juarez a number of times in the past, it was common to go shopping in Juarez back in the day, but all the locals who are or look white no better than to travel over the border now. It is not the Juarez of yesteryears. It is not safe to go to Juarez anymore. No joke. Murders and kidnappings and immigration chaos are daily events now. The border is in crisis, and immigrants, due to the new administration, are being blocked from crossing borders and are resisting arrest. Gunfire and physical violence has become a daily threat to those travelers. Many who have the wrong color of skin, I can't stress this enough. It is not currently safe for you or your family to cross from El Paso into Juarez, Mexico. Sorry to rain on your plans. No, that's all right, because I will keep this and frame this and show this and be like, you're just being a pussy.
If anybody would have a neon sign above them that says, "Kidnap me for a good ransom,"
Yeah.
it's you.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
You have the lightest skin, and you look like you do.
Right.
I just believe in the goodness of everyone.
And please torture my balls. I love that.
Oh, they're gonna cattle prod your balls so hard, Ralston.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, hearing comments like that, not so sure. GWB in the chat said, I went shopping in Juarez at the mall back in December, but I was there with Mexicans who live in El Paso. And that's what my wife's telling me. Be like, they live in El Paso, or they live in Juarez, so they're locals. They understand it. She said, got a pair of sunglasses for $5, and they're the best sunglasses I've ever bought. Well, that's tempting.
Your life, $5 glasses.
Kevin, those glasses will look so good on your decapitated head.
They'll block the rays.
You're right. You're right. So there you go. Okay. We also were talking about a lawsuit, a guy that was 334 bills when he got onto a water slide that had a weight limit of 300 and apparently somehow hurt himself on it. I saw a video of a guy, too. I guess this one dude decided it'd be a good idea. He had a nice hilly backyard, so he opened up his own water slide. Looked really nice. I mean, it almost looked like it was something you'd see in a water park. But there's a reason why you probably only trust the water park ones, because one of his buddies got on and went shoo, right off the side of it over the edge of a mountain. He had to be life flighted out of there. It was broken head to toe.
But it was fun till it wasn't.
I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, where is that guy landing? And he just whoop right off the side.
On a mountain.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at the pain. I'm laughing at more just of the. It's fucking terrible.
You got to make sure them walls go up high enough.
Oh man. Yeah, so he's suing, and we were talking about that, where I'm like, some of these water parks, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I saw somebody else that had made a video, and they were shaming the place because they weighed her before getting on a ride, and she was going to sue for
Fat shaming.
Yeah. But Teresa said the Rapids, they weigh each person before going on the rides. I've seen kids turned down because they don't weigh enough. My son and I made it on the ride this week. We made it by 1 pound. And that's the story about that kid that died on the ride. It's not a water park, but in Orlando, in Old Town there. He had fallen off of the ride. He was over the weight limit. And they didn't care, I guess because of sensitivities. But, look, I mean, when you have limits on things like that, the option is death.
Well, the person that invented that ride or whatever, they're telling you this for a reason. Don't put anybody over 325 pounds because it becomes a health risk.
We've tested it.
Yeah,
we know.
I know your feelings are hurt, but we want you to live so you can continue to have hurt feelings.
Right. Yeah.
Because you will continue to have hurt feelings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everywhere you go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, I think on the one, you can always err on the side of, look, we're not here to fat shame you or make you feel embarrassed. We're just here for your safety. And if you think you're anywhere close to that limit, then, save yourself the embarrassment. Know for certain, and just know with some of these parks, okay, there's a weight limit, and maybe that would be your goal. If you really want to get on the rides, be like, okay, well, I've got to get my body under this weight limit size, and don't be upset that they don't let you on or that they weigh you.
Well, you don't always get what you want in life. Sometimes shit just does not work. If there's regulations and you don't fit the regulations, how can you sue? I don't get that.
Right.
And I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I would never want to make someone feel
like it's posted.
Exactly. I would, if I weighed 325 and they said you can't go on this ride because because it's, I got to accept that.
Over 300
Yeah.
can't go on this ride, and you're 323. Your ass shouldn't be up there.
And if I don't get to go, I should. It sucks.
Well,
Hurt feelings suck. I get it.
we spent the better part of 40, 50 years in this country by giving people something when they bring these lawsuits, and whether it be a settlement or whatever, they turn out in the positive, and they're like, all right, okay, I got $25,000 just to shut up. It was well worth it.
It's created the problem we have
Right.
now.
And then you had the people do that, and that's where our court system has gone wrong. It should have been like, okay, no, and then if you lose, then you pay everybody's attorney fees for wasting our time. So. We've coddled people, and this is the environment we have now.
Complaining
And
works too.
Well, exactly. And that lady who probably did that, she may have gotten free passes, or she may have settled with them out of court because they didn't want to take it to court, and she gets $50,000. And I'd be like, okay, where's the next park I can go and threaten to sue?
Sometimes people just finally surrender to complaining because they don't want to fucking deal with it anymore. Like, yeah, sure. Get on the fucking ride. I don't give a shit. Break your leg, whatever it happens, fine, do it.
Then that's the thing where if something happens that they do get hurt, then that's
Exactly.
when they get a massive payout, at that point. So, yeah, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't on that one. But, yeah, it's a good thing to know. Rapids has the scales, and I mean, it's the same thing about your height, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, how dare you? You height shame me. It's insane. But, look, there's a reason for it. Doug said, I heard Jaybird say that he called his neighbor Mark when his real name was Mike. In college, I worked at a library, and the librarian called me Steve. My name's Doug.
I mean, I know how it feels. This is how shitty I felt as a baseball player. My freshman year in college, my baseball coach, for the first, I would say, 2 months of the season, called me Jeremy. I'm thinking, fuck, my name's Jason. I'm definitely not in the starting lineup. It's like, I don't even know I'm going to make
What if he said, Jeremy, you're in the starting lineup? Do you go and hit as Jeremy?
I don't know if I would have known. I'm like, is that me? I'm like, I don't even.
It's kind of funny that you didn't make it, but neither did Jeremy.
It was confusing. I'm like, this guy's yelling at me. He's calling me Jeremy. I'm definitely not starting.
I'm definitely not going to take it personal. Whenever he said, do not take it personal, it wasn't meant for you.
Yeah, well, you could tell it was meant for you because it was usually right in your face screaming, fuck you, Jeremy, you suck. Go back to Jupiter. He at least knew sort of where I was from.
And Doug says, yeah, I tried to even correct her a couple times, but she kept calling me Steve. So I'm like, just went with it.
I mean, how bad of a name is Steve?
Yeah.
It's only temporary.
And he said, look, sometimes it worked out because if there was any trouble and they'd be looking for Steve, I'd be like, no, I'm Doug. And then at my graduation, I overheard her telling somebody, going, I could have swore his name was Steve.
That's so funny.
No, man, that's Doug.
Yeah. Nick, interesting thoughts on our breakdown of our favorite four for the SNL characters that we did when Virginia was out. And he said, after listening to your list, the discussion that happened after as well, I had to reference something I saw online about SNL. They say it's written for the 18 to 35-year-old demographic. SNL hasn't changed. You have. Think about your favorite cast members. I bet they occurred during a time where you were between those ages. Now, I'm 48, and yes, I think the late 90s and early 2000s was the best era, and that would be when I was in that demographic. That being said, I still watch it now, and no, I don't understand some of the jokes referencing TikTok trends or social media influencers, and no, I don't understand the appeal of Charlie XCX and why she got to host and perform the same night. But I'm sure she appeals to someone age 18 to 35, and some of the current cast members are truly great. Ego Nwodum, Bowen Yang, Marcelo Hernandez, and Sarah Sherman all make me laugh on a regular basis. I just wanted to clarify that just because you don't find something funny doesn't mean it isn't good. It's just meant for you.
So my critique is that back in the day, people would learn their lines and not have to rely on looking at a card and looking over here and then looking at their character. The quality as far as execution has absolutely weakened. That's got nothing to do with me being the age that I am. It just doesn't. And they always use the excuse, well, we change things on the fly at the end. Well, don't change things on the fly at the end then. If it looks like you're looking at the cue card and doing this and doing
It's
that.
amateur.
Yeah, I mean, I get sort of what they're saying, but honestly, when it comes to execution, that's my main critique on SNL. The produced stuff, I think, is very good.
Yeah. And I think that the quality of the cast are always going to ebb and flow. And you go back earlier. In fact, we were talking about that when we were talking about Eddie Murphy, that he was a superstar in a relatively weak cast.
Yes.
That didn't have a lot of greats in there. And so, I think you can actually reserve that criticism for different eras of Saturday Night Live. In fact, a lot of people were upset we didn't take any of the originals, the John Belushis and whatnot. And I thought it was honestly okay, but I didn't think that it was as good as some of the other stuff they had done. I felt like people were picking some of those characters based purely on just the nostalgia of being first, and that doesn't make you best.
And believe me, I found SNL funny into my 40s. I just did. SNL's changed a little bit.
Yeah, I still find a lot of stuff that I do like on there. I think they have some very good skits. I think the Weekend Update is as solid as it's ever been right now. I think Colin Jost is fantastic on that. And I think it's that Marcelo Hernandez. I saw him. He's starting to get out there. Is he there? He does. I can't remember. It was some Latin lover that he plays on that. And I think he's the kid. I saw him in the Happy Gilmore. And so he looks like he's going to be one of those people that's going to pop. And Bowen Yang, obviously, he's done Wicked, and he's doing some great stuff. So, they do have some people on there that are okay. But where do you think the staff is right now, the cast that they have? Where would you put it? Because you do have all the way to elite. You have they're okay, or you got like it's kind of weak. Which stage would you put it at right now, Jaber, with the current staff?
How many big, and I'm not saying they don't, but how many huge, big cultural SNL moments happen these days where everyone's talking about it? I'm not saying they don't happen.
Yep.
Like your dick in a box, stuff like that. How I know a lot of it's on YouTube now, but is there that big of a buzz across the board like it used to? I don't think there is.
Yeah, somebody'd have to refresh my memory because nothing's coming up. I mean, I've seen some things. They got some characters. In fact, that Marcelo Hernandez, he plays, what is it, the Diego or whoever it might be.
You'll get an email. There's characters, Bird. I know that there is. I swear, I know that there is. But as far as cutting through across the board, and there's also just a lot of content out there to still be the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
A lot of people watch it on their YouTube page.
Yeah, Domingo. Thank you. Yeah, Domingo's the character Marcelo Hernandez does.
And like you said, SNL's always been up and down.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think, to me, I would put it at, I think it's kind of like standard. I don't think it's necessarily awful or amazing. I think they've got a couple stars in there, and they have a couple good moments. And I think the Weekend Update is always pretty solid, and hopefully you get another couple good skits out of it. I think that's where it is. So I would put it at, a standard cast that they got right now. But I do see the demographic thing, and I think that's true. You look at music, I think particularly when it comes to music, and you talk to people about what is the best era, you find when they were in high school or early college, and they'll always be like, oh, man, that's when they made the best music.
When they didn't repeat the chorus for 4 minutes in a row.
Yeah, and they'll say that that's it without doubt, So that's their favorite era. And I think it's all because of nostalgia. It's what you were doing. You had free time, you're hanging with your friends, and you'll love all that.
Also, too, sometimes things can just not, things can start to suck. Sometimes things can, start to fall not as funny. Like at SNL. I mean, it's not always about just because of a demo. It could be just maybe the product isn't just as good.
What do you think about music and nostalgia when you talk about what your favorite music is? Because you do usually hit people, and most often when I talk to people that are over the age of 30 and you ask the best era, they typically go, oh, yeah, the era when they were kids or high school always seems to be what they argue is the best.
A lot of the new music I like isn't usually on the radio. A lot of the pop music is very rinse and repeat. You've got the chorus that goes on for about a minute and a half at the end of the song.
Yeah.
They're repeating it over and over again. That's the stuff I don't like. Now, I mean, does the youth love that? Maybe. I don't like it. I guess so. I like when songs have lyrics and can tell a story and then have a melody in there.
Yeah.
But that's just a personal preference. Everyone's always been on my ass about my musical taste, even since I was 5.
I think we're in an era that we're setting up right now of a lot of disposable music. I think that's really what they're creating right now. It's stuff that's not necessarily memorable. It is written for, it's a hook, it's a TikTok thing, it's to work in a commercial or something like that. And I don't know how many of the newer songs, some of them are going to be classics. that you're going to see forever because the way that things are written.
But you know those kind of pop songs I'm talking about? They're 2.5 minutes long. There might be a quick, and then the last minute to 2 minutes is I'll be single soon. I'll be single soon. I'll be single soon, or whatever that is that the name of it?
Call me when you're single.
Or call me when you're single. Call me, baby. I don't know. But it's like 2.5 minutes of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
I do think that is something that's changed in music.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much timeless classics are being made in pop right now. I think there are other fringe music genres that are making some music that people would be like, okay, that was good. It's breaking new barriers and bounds, and it's doing new things. But it does seem like a lot of the popular music is kind of just caught up in the machine right now.
And don't get it twisted. There's plenty of new pop music that I absolutely like, and that isn't rinse and repeat like that. They're not all like that. I'm just saying. I think that is what's changed a lot, at least in popular music.
Yeah. And you look, too, I think just where our patience is set and the amount of content that is out there, that even some of the songs that we consider to be classics might sound different if they were created today. And Nate had a good example. He said, I hate the last minute of California Love where they're going thuggish, ruggish bone, and they're just kind of going off. It's almost like they're trying to fill to get to 4 minutes where they don't really have anything new to say. They're just kind of repeating the same crap.
Look,
and so if you came out with California Love today, that is almost, I think, a 5.5 minute song.
It is.
That would probably be a 3 to 3.5 minute song that they would just chop, and it would sound different that way.
That wouldn't be allowed today.
Yeah.
A 5-minute outro. Because he's right. That outro goes on for a minute.
Yeah. And it's almost like they were trying to fill enough time to say they had a full song. Whereas now, you look, and we've got 2-minute songs all over the place now.
There was one song. It was 1:55. You don't see that often. That's a newer thing.
Yeah.
To see a song on the radio under 2 minutes, that's a hit.
Yeah, it is a little different. I saw this Ryan Tedder, who has just written so many songs out there. This guy, if you look at songs that he has written, he was talking on the Gram just kind of about music today, and he's the guy from One Republic, if you don't know. And here he was talking a bit about songwriting and the music out today and what we're getting.
15-year-old.
What's the art to a short song, and are you making them shorter because you've just got to make so many? Let's just get them out. There's too many people to work with. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yeah, no. Like, so the last 4 years, honestly, since COVID, a thing happened. TikTok went crazy.
Yeah.
It went from this app that a few people were on to everyone. And what that did was subdivide people's attention span and created, honestly, probably a lot of attention deficit disorder, where every time you get a new clip, a new video, you get a dopamine kick in your brain. And it lasts about 10 seconds, which is when you flip to the next thing. That's what we do. Music got affected by that. The reason the world is seeing shorter songs, it is people like myself instinctively reacting to global culture, which tells me, like, I clearly have some version of ADHD.
Well, it's a very lucrative form of ADHD, clearly.
It's very, well, I've just figured out how to harness it. It's all but if I use myself as a litmus test, if I start to get distracted during a song or movie or anything, I have these internal red flags go off that just basically are like, hey, focus on that moment. That moment right there, you're losing me. And if you're losing me, you're losing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And that's all I use is my own internal barometer. So I basically have the attention span of a 15-year-old, and I just kind of use that as my...
Yeah, and I actually remember we did these shorter songs on the show for a while.
Yes.
It was because I was watching my daughter when she was in high school listening to music, and she would put a song on. It would be on for, it tops 90 seconds. She'd be like, okay, next. And then boom, she would move on. And it was kind of, that's what it was. She wanted the excitement of a new song that catches you, but then you're like, okay, all right, I got all I need of this. And now you go on to the next.
That's because they repeat the chorus 35 1,000 times
They
at the
do.
end. Next.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why they started. I think they changed the songs and write the songs now to the temperament of the mindset. They write it for TikTok. They write it for those things, and I think that's what started to change it. Because when I was a kid, it wasn't as easy to get to the next song. If I wanted to get to the next song, remember when you had a cassette tape and you had to fast forward it and you try to hit it, but then sometimes you couldn't. But then they invented that thing that would actually fast forward it to the next song for you.
Yes.
That was such a great
But it
invention.
still took
What
a
a
little bit of time.
feature.
Now it's so quick, and keep in mind too, they now put the choruses at the front of the songs. You notice that? So when you are scanning through music, you're getting hit with the chorus, and you listen to the chorus, you're like, next. That's almost what we want. We're asking for not a song. Just give me a cool chorus like a TikTok video, and then I'm going to move on to the next, the same way I do when I'm scanning through my feed.
It's a major tactic in the pop world.
Yeah.
To start off with the chorus quickly, no intro, get right to the chorus. Now, that's not all genres and that's not all pop music, but it seems to be what's playing on the radio, your
Right.
top 20 songs.
And Ryan Tedder is one of the top pop songwriters that are out there. That has been. And so that's his mindset. That's how he's writing it, saying, okay, I recognize that. We got to have the dopamine hit. So we need the short songs that hit you right away, give you that dopamine burst, and then you realize, okay, we're probably boring somebody. Get out.
The days of Hotel California.
Oh, no.
Intro, storytelling, three verses.
They would never.
Outro.
I
It's
know.
a 6-minute song.
They would never do that.
But what is old becomes new again. And I as soon as someone says something's dead forever, I go, I don't know if that's true or not. It just seems like a different version of that may come back, because there's going to come a time where people are going to go, I don't want it so quick. I want it longer. Just like radio versus a podcast. Some people like long form content.
Yeah.
Some people like to keep it moving.
I almost think that we're getting different subsects of people in society, because I think there are people that are recognizing that, and they're trying to train their brains, and they're forcing back on it. They're not allowing themselves to get caught up in these short dopamine bursts, and they are listening a little bit more to podcasts. I see my wife, and like I'd said, we used to watch shows together. Now she has to watch 2 shows at one time. She is one of those people I'm seeing, she is caught up in it. And I feel like it's rewiring her brain. And I'm pushing back a bit myself, because I'm trying to invest in 3-hour podcast episodes and longer songs and let it breathe and not let my mind get so caught up in that.
I notice it happening to myself, where I'm watching something, then all of a sudden I'm dual watching, and I don't, just like your boy Tedder was saying, I don't like that. I want to change that. I want to stay in the moment.
Well, as soon as you feel like a lull, even the tiniest lull in
Yep.
whatever the action is, you're like, let me get my phone.
Yep.
Let me go on Instagram. Like, no. Stop it, brain.
And believe it or not, sometimes you need a small lull to create tension in a movie or even in a song. So I wouldn't say just because Virginia's attention is out on something, mine may not. It may be keeping my attention. Everyone's going to be different.
Yep.
Some people like a lull. It builds suspense.
Yeah.
Now, not a shitty long lull.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. My wife is way gone on it, and she seems okay with it.
I think a lot of people are they don't realize it's happening to them, and I think society, we live in that on-demand society.
We
man.
do.
And if you don't have it right now, where's my remote? I can't hit rewind now.
Well, I've noticed on just even trying to recommend things for my wife, I have to have it queued up basically to that moment and
To
that
show
second,
her.
and be like, hey, can you give me 13 seconds?
Dude, I know what you mean. I was showing somebody a video that was only 20 seconds long, and the funny part was probably right around the 13th second. I'm going, man, 8 seconds is going by. I'm losing their attention.
Yeah.
I'm losing their attention.
Absolutely. Yeah, you
For a
got
20-second clip.
Yeah, you got 8 seconds to hook them. It's true. Some recommendations. Binge watching these documentaries on Netflix. The Bin Laden one was great. Yeah, I saw that on Netflix. If you like that kind of stuff, it was well done. Tells a great story, and it starts off. You talk about hooking you. The first shot is they show a guy that's standing on a New York street corner, and you're plane, boom, right into the World Trade Center.
Oh, my.
That's within 3 seconds.
Do you find new stuff out when you watch this thing, or is it going to be one of those things where, okay, I know this, I know that? Because
Yeah.
that's what happens with a lot of the murder documentaries. Oh, they have a new one out, and it's the same shit over and over again.
On this one, no, I learned a lot about how they trained, how they found Bin Laden, and then after they did what they had to do for it, there's a lot of good behind the scenes. The guy who actually fired the shot, is talking a bit about it. And so it's nice and it's all encompassing. And it puts the whole thing into a really interesting, tight little bow of what you see. So, yeah, I liked it. And it adds a little bit more context to the situations. They show George W. Bush, the president, as he's sitting there reading to kids. And then, they have his advisor that went up and let him know and said, hey, I had to let him know what was going on, but he chose to still sit there. And you know that now, where you've seen where they whisper in his ear and then all of a sudden his face changes, and he didn't want to freak out the kids and get up so abruptly. But you can tell his mind is he went from being all in with the kids and present, the president did, to being checked out, to be like, what the hell is going on with my country?
He's like, oh
right
my
now?
gosh, is our country about to just be blown up by terrorists?
Could you imagine if he just stood up and go, oh, shit, fuck!
Kids, we're fucked!
Could you imagine if that's how he Oh my God. That would not be good.
Yeah, go to Netflix and you look up Bin Laden. I don't remember the full name of it because they've given it a name where Osama Bin Laden's in the title, but
Okay, it's on Netflix.
it's on Netflix. Yeah,
All right.
so and it's new enough that it's trending too. I think it's typically one of their top 10. At least it was a week ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it should come up pretty good.
I started watching the new Vince Vaughn movie.
Nanas?
Yeah. I saw the first 15 to 20 minutes of it, and I already liked it.
Oh, that's good.
I was too tired to finish it.
Yeah.
But if you come from an Italian background,
Is it Nona?
Yes.
Nona.
Nona's.
It is. I thought the first 20 minutes so far was really good. It reminded me so much of my family.
Aw.
Yeah, that's
It's
cool.
all about grief and how you fill your grief is with food.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it looked like it'd be good like that. They said the OKC bombing one was great. Just finished the Boston Marathon one. Man, I didn't realize some of the stuff that happened in that 5-day window of the bombing. I think you'd enjoy it, History Kev. I think I've seen most of those. I haven't seen the OKC bombing one yet, but I'd like to go check that out. So I went by that memorial when I was in Oklahoma City in February.
I love me a great documentary. I'm a documentary slut. I will, if they're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, it's nice when you find out new things because sometimes you're just watching the same stuff that you've already seen over and over again. So do like that. Josh said, I want to recommend a YouTube show to Jaybird called Last Meals by Mythical. Celebrities are interviewed about life and death while eating their ideal last meal in their life. Last week, Ralph Macchio was the guest, and he talked about Pat Morita, the intersection of the new and old Karate Kids with Cobra Kai and Death and Legacy. Other notable guests are Jason Kelsey, Tom Hanks, Meghan Trainor, and more. That's
love
pretty
it.
cool.
That's cool.
And he said, and also I'm in Portland, Maine this week for the annual Fungus Fest. I discovered Portland is home to the International Cryptozoology Museum. They had poop from various critids, actual hairs from big feet, and 100% genuine Fiji mermaid. And there you go. You can see her hanging out there in a glass case, and she looks like a troll doll, and she must have been a punk rocker because she has pink hair.
Yeah, you said, Oregon, right?
It was Portland, Maine.
Oh,
Oregon.
Maine.
Yeah.
Okay, huh? Mm-hmm. To say Oregon, that seems so Oregon. All that weird shit.
Yeah, Oregon is a weird little place. So there
Both
you go.
Portlands are hippie.
I would Maine. I know it's cold, but there's something about Maine. I want to go up there. It looks beautiful to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to stay there that long.
Sure it is, yeah.
But have you
Just
been,
to visit.
Have you been to Maine?
Never been to Maine. I would totally go.
Yeah, it looks. I don't know. It looks nice and slightly different than our type of water atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It just seems cold and rich, doesn't it?
Okay. And earlier we were talking about foods that are underrated or overrated. I kind of rediscovered watermelon over the weekend. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I don't have to mansplain watermelon to you, but I was like, man, I got to get this back on my radar. And Tim said this last week, I saw these Warhead frozen grapes at the store, and I bought them on a whim. I love sour things, and these were GD delicious. I ate the whole bag in 2 days.
There is nothing cozier when you find something that just really knocks your dick in the dirt.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I got that. I'm on a Greek yogurt kick with blueberries and some nuts in it, and oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
The best yogurt I've ever had, it's the one Denny's introduced me to. It's Publix generic, and I think it's apple pie yogurt, and apple pie crumbles in the bottom and you mix it up and it's not at all healthy for you.
I had
That ain't
found.
Kevin's kind of yogurt.
As I was looking at yogurts, I was surprised how fattening and sugary some of them were.
This is, I mean, taste bud orgasm.
Oh,
TBO, baby.
Yeah.
You gotta try this brand Noosa, Noosa. Get the honey yogurt, Kevin. It is so good.
That does sound good, yeah, because a lot of times try to put a little honey in there as well.
This one's got just a little bit of honey already in it for you.
Naturally
Noosa.
sweetened.
Noosa. It's elevated.
In fact, Kevin, if you just say fuck it, go with the apple pie yogurt.
Oh, boy, yeah.
You will not be disappointed.
if Fat Kevin just says fuck it.
Yeah, right.
Kevin Ralston can never say fuck it. You're the only thing keeping this thing
And let me
together.
tell you, if I didn't say fuck it, I ain't going to yogurt. Let me just tell you. I'll go find something a little better than that. All right, y'all. Thanks for being here. You never know. One of these days, we're going to pop up in a new studio. Probably not anytime soon, but it could happen.
It could.
Yep. Y'all enjoy your Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.